The following opinions are solely those of BoatTEST.com and its test captain.
Hi, Cab Steve for BoatTEST.com, and today I'm on an all-new boat from Intrepid Powerboats. It's the 375 Walkaround. I'm going to put it on a full test and performance review.
Building on the success of their 375 Center Console, Intrepid Powerboats created an entirely new mold for this 375 Walkaround instead of using the same hull. The result is this stunningly beautiful boat that adds overnight capabilities to her list of features. And one of the great things about having such a custom-built boat is you can make any changes you want. I'll point out some of the changes that I would make as we go through this review. We conducted this test on a calm South Florida day, but I did manage to have a unique opportunity with this boat. More on that later. But first, let's start our full test by looking at some of the operational components. The battery switches and 12-volt panel are next to the helm and the port side bulwarks. They feature the new style push-button switches, and I'd probably request that this panel get located in the locked forward cabin. Steps to the sides of the cockpit and Intrepid's trademark powder-coated rails along the hardtop make it easy to transition to the bow. Fully forward, the anchor runs through the stem with a stainless steel anchor chute, and the windlass is provided to do the heavy work, but I found the foot control switches in the corners a little hard to access. I think a handheld remote would be a better option here. An opening to the sides of the windlass make it easy to manage any tangles underneath. Rail height at the bow is 13 inches. LED nav lights are recessed into the hardtop. Taking a look at the helm, its features start with the 3-spoke stainless wheel mounted to a tilt base. Just to the left are the bow thruster controls and the windlass controls. Up on the dash, there's plenty of room for a pair of 12-inch displays with additional room for ancillary electronics in between. Just below, Yamaha's multifunction display, and Intrepid mounts the compass in the center of the panel. I'd rather see that in line of sight with the helm itself. But to both sides are recessed areas for storage. The digital engine controls are mounted at a comfortable angle, and push-button switches are perimeter lit when active and are not only waterproof, but submersible to 15 feet. Down below are footrests for the operator and observer. The helm seat is extremely plush, double wide with flip-down armrests and a center storage compartment. Even riding out behind the seat is comfortable thanks to grab handles, drink holders, and the cockpit refrigerator down below. It also has storage to both sides. Our test boat was powered by triple 350 horsepower Yamaha V8 4-strokes, and notice how Intrepid even puts a color-matched Imron finish on the engines. With 25 inches of clearance between the engines and the transom, there's enough room for the props to come clear of the surface. And here's a nice touch. Simply connect a hose to this engine flush manifold and switch from one engine to the next for a freshwater flush-out. And there's even a service platform at the base of the transom. Now, let's get underway. This Intrepid 375 Walkaround has a length overall of 37 feet 5 inches, a beam of 11 feet, and a draft of 2 feet 6 inches. With an empty weight of 14,000 pounds, half fuel, and 4 people on board, we had a test weight of 16,110 pounds. With the 3 Yamaha 350 horsepower 4-strokes turning 15.5 by 23 SDS props, we reached a top speed at 5,800 RPM of 62.1 miles per hour. At that speed, fuel burn was 96 gallons per hour, giving us a range of 233 miles. Best cruise came in at 3,500 RPM and 35.6 miles per hour. That speed reduced the fuel burn to only 33 gallons per hour, which the 375 could keep up for nearly 11 hours and 388 miles. We had a time to plane of 3.7 seconds, reached 20 miles per hour in 6 seconds, and continued accelerating through 30 miles per hour in 9.9 seconds. On accelerating, the bow comes up 15 degrees, which does block visibility to the horizon since the bow was so far ahead of the helm. Once on plane, I found her to be more sensitive to the trim tabs than she is to the drive trim, so leave the trim tabs in the full-up position unless compensating for an uneven distribution of weight or a crosswind run. And just a couple of shots of the throttle-mounted engine trim will put her into her cruise attitude. In turns, she leans 22.5 degrees, but her solid ride makes that feel more like 10. When taking power off, she settles back into the water at a relatively level attitude. Now, after the test, I had the unique opportunity to deliver this 375 Walkaround from Miami to Fort Lauderdale and ran offshore to do it. Conditions in the Gulf Stream were averaging 4-foot swells off the starboard quarter. Because no boat would be stable enough in these conditions to film this, all we have are these pictures after running the inlet, but the ride was remarkably revealing. I started at around 4,000 RPM, which had us running just over 40 miles per hour. We were remaining very level and skipping from one wave to the next, occasionally catching air under the boat. But since this was an Intrepid and I had one opportunity to see how it performed, I started advancing the throttles. At 50 miles per hour, she would catch more air onto the hull and re-enter stern first with the bow slowly pressing down rather than slamming down. Still sensing that she had more to give, I firewalled the throttles, and remarkably, we were running at 62 miles per hour, the same speed as on the flat, through 4-foot swells. Coming into the inlet, the seas were building against an outgoing tide, and based on what I had seen for the last hour and a half, I decided not to slow down, but instead advance the throttles again. The first towering wave we hit, the 375 literally penetrated right through it, completely engulfing the entire boat in water, but with the bow showing no tendency to stuff or lose buoyancy. It was exactly what I had expected and a remarkable testimony to the seaworthiness of Intrepid boats.
Well, in my opinion, it looks like Intrepid Powerboats created yet another winner with this 375 walk-around, and that's my full test and performance review. For BoatTEST.com, I'm Captain Steve. We'll see you on the water.